Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Atlassian, for having me. I appreciate it. So, a few things I want to talk about. It's always great to get out of DC, that's for sure, I'll tell you that. I am the CIO. When we started this project, I was the head of the Public Web Program. This doesn't mean that if you implement Atlassian, you're going to become the CIO. It doesn't work that way, but I just want to let you know that. But it was a nice thing to happen. So, I want to talk about who we are and what we do. So DMA, Defense Media Activity, is the part of the Department of Defense that communicates with all of our airmen, soldiers, sailors, and Marines around the world, as well as their families. And we also do external communication to the public. And we also deliver things like entertainment to the troops. I actually have a quick video to show you to kind of give you a little bit of example of what we do. Actually, excuse me, I skipped the slide here. This is why this is important. We have the largest employee base in the entire world. We have 3.3 million employees, so you can imagine that getting all that communication to those folks is quite a task. Making sure that everyone knows what's going on, the latest policies, what's happening, this is a big deal. So being able to do that efficiently and effectively with excellent technology is a tough task. We do a lot of different products, whether they're video products, whether they're imagery. We have Sergeant Stride's newspaper overseas. We deliver, you might have seen, for example, when you're watching the Super Bowl, they cut to a shot where you see the service members watching the Super Bowl in Afghanistan. Well, that's what we do. We deliver that video to them. So we get actual product from the different organizations, and we deliver it to the troops overseas and their families. We have a lot of great work that we're doing on a regular basis. And my job as a CIO is to make sure that we have the right technology, the right place, the right time, so that our folks are able to do the best they can. So they can do great things like take images like this, or like that. So having the technology there ready to go when they need it, it's very important. I actually have another video, but we don't have audio, so that's not going to work. Because I actually wanted to show you an example of a video product that we do where the technique might actually look familiar to you, because that technique, you might have seen these guys on the side. They actually do the work for House of Cards, and they did the intro for House of Cards. And they're part of our staff, which is great. So they can really bring that technology and that expertise in-house. So the program that I want to talk to you about today is the Dod Public Web Program. And the Dod Public Web Program is a program that we have where we have about 750 websites that we support and maintain for the Department of Defense as a whole. So that includes all the flagship sites, so AF.mil, Navy.mil, Marines.mil, Defense.gov, and then all the sites down to the bases. So for example, at let's say Langley Air Force Base, they have a website to communicate with their local community as well as their troops on base. And they have really replaced local newspapers that they used to have 20, 30 years ago. And it's a pretty big program. Like I said, we have 750 websites. Last year we did 2.6 billion page views delivered. And that's an interesting number because that's actually a filtered number after we've taken out all the robots, and about 1 billion attacks that we saw in 2014. So yeah, security is very important to us. We see a lot of denial of service attacks. We see a lot of SQL injection attempts. We see all kinds of things happening. So our actual big number was about 3.8, but this is after we filtered out. These are actual people watching. And we did about 500,000 images that were posted, and about 250,000 stories were posted through websites across the organization. Now, what we have is a system where we share all that content across all those sites, and we have 10,000 content managers across the globe that actually log into our system and are able to use it to update their websites. So it's very important for us to be able to support those folks and have a system that is efficient, effective, and actually gets the job done. So let's talk a little bit about the problems that we had. We had a help desk solution that wasn't meeting our internal needs or the needs of our customers. It just wasn't doing it for us. It was expensive, it was complicated, it had a lot of problems. And then to tie back to that was the fact that our development process was completely separated. So if something came in, a bug fix or something came in through the help desk, it had to get taken out of that system and then put into a separate system that the developers were using to track their work. So that was a problem. Very disjointed, hard to keep track of stuff. And at the end of the cycle, ensuring that we were communicating back to our customers that we were completing whatever it was that they wanted done. On the ops side, we had a problem where we didn't really have a good system to track all the work that they were doing. There's a lot of great work being done, but we weren't able to really see and have metrics as to how we're spending our time and how we're doing things. So we really needed something to do there. So, challenges. Well, as I mentioned before, security is a big thing for us. It has to be secure. It has to be somewhere where we can protect it. It's always a big, important piece for us, so it's always an issue for us. We actually did, we set it up so that our system actually works off of our common access cards. So two-factor authentication, you put your card in your computer, you're able to log into Jira and be able to use that system. Time, the other problem was time, right? Time, I don't know if you are familiar with government, how the government works, but the acquisition process in the government is very time-consuming. It takes a long time to get stuff done. So by the time we got through acquisition and actually got the licenses to actually start the process, we had about 5 weeks before the last contract ended to deploy this thing and get it working. 5 weeks is not a lot of time. And we had a limited budget. It couldn't cost more than the last system, so we had to keep it within that budget. And the biggest one here, which I think a lot of you can relate with, is user adoption. User adoption is the biggest reason why system deployments fail. Everyone has that person on their staff who doesn't want to change, who doesn't want to do it, oh, this is silly. In my organization, we call him Grumpy Cat. And this is actually a quote that he gave me when I said, hey, we're going to start using this system to tie all of our systems together. This is stupid, a waste of time. I've got real-world operations we need to be working on. So if there's anything I can help you with, maybe it's this part. So how do you deal with Grumpy Cat? Well, you take them, you put them in a room, and you sit with them, and you work through the entire process. You map out their workflow. How do you do your job? So you're not changing their workflow. You're integrating it into their system. And you work with them every step of the way so that they feel they are part of the process. And that is how you win over Grumpy Cat. Because if they are not part of the process, they're going to be a problem for you along the entire way. Every step of the way, you're going to be running into. So that's what I did. And we spent an entire day going through workflows. We built it into the system. And at the end of the day, he felt comfortable. He said, OK, this could work. I'll give it a shot. We went from there. So what was the solution that we implemented? Well, obviously Jira, or else I wouldn't be here talking to you today, right? So we implemented Service Desk. We implemented with Jira Agile, it's Jira Software now, and Jira Confluence, as tools that we took, and we implemented them. And then we did it in the Amazon Web Services cloud. There's a government cloud that they have, which is a little more secure, and we took advantage of that. If we had to procure all the equipment and everything that we needed to deploy this, it never would have been done in 5 weeks. We need to be quick, and we need to get it done in a quick, secure manner. And we had some great solution experts, that some of them are here today, who helped us to do that. Some folks that actually understood Jira, understood cloud operations, and how to secure it and do it right in a quick manner and an effective manner. So that's what we did. And I can tell you, it's been pretty great. The cloud can be challenging. I mean, I know that Jira has a cloud, but for us it wasn't an option because we needed additional security protections on top of it. And we had to have level 4 security, which is it's a government thing. But because we had things that were for official use only in there, or had things like personal information, and we had to protect it at a level that is okay for the government. Well, unfortunately, the current Jira Cloud offering doesn't have those additional controls on top of it, so we had to build our own. And really, I really recommend to have experts that can help you through the process, as we did. So, how did we do? Well, I can tell you that it was pretty effective. We saw a significant increase in help desk ticket resolution. The numbers that you're looking at are April through September 2014 versus 2015. We saw a 17% increase in help desk ticket resolution. And at first you thought, okay, we're just getting rid of old stuff, but this was continuous, and it was a continuous improvement that we saw. Because we had better visibility into tickets, both from the Tier 1, Tier 2, and then Tier 3, when they went into the development side of the house, and management had better visibility into all these issues. But I think the biggest jump that we got here was that we got a 10% increase in user satisfaction. That's huge. That's huge for anybody. Not just for us. I think that's huge for anyone. We put out surveys that we send out to our users every time we close out a ticket. And when we close out a ticket, they get the survey and they say, were you satisfied with your service? Yes or no? And we've seen a 10% increase since we've deployed the system. That's pretty impressive, I think. On the development side, we saw a significant increase in development and developer output. And a lot of that was caused by the fact that the tickets were spending less time in non-developer phases of the process, right, of the workflow. Whether it was QA, verification, or whatever it was, they were not sitting there waiting to be reviewed or whatever. Developers did their job. Developers were still doing the same work, but the tickets were stagnant. They also spend a lot less time moving between developers. Quick notification, the workflow worked for us. And it was to the point that we got a 39% improvement in developer output. I think that's a significant number. It's been very effective for us. Now, let's talk about Grumpy Cat. So on the outside, remember we didn't have really good measurement and really good information to track prior to us deploying this system. But Grumpy Cat became one of the biggest advocates for this system. And he was the guy that started selling it to the rest of the part of the team, which was great. And at the end of the day, I have a new quote from Grumpy Cat. The difference is amazing, and our productivity has skyrocketed. Everything can now be visualized, racked, and stacked, and I know what everyone is working on at a glance. I think that's huge. If you can get Grumpy Cat to this point, you win. Forget about it. This is it. This is where you want to be. So where do we go from here? Well, we still have a lot of things to do. Our list of accomplishments that we wanted to have are still significant and long. This gives us the tools to move into a more DevOps environment. We want to implement Stash, Bamboo, a few other things, and allow us to focus on what the customers want out of our system, and actually use built-in Jira tools to help us select what are the most important things that our customers want. It's going to be very big for us. And at the end of the day, now in my new role, I can say, well, the rest of the organization really needs to jump on board here because we've seen some significant improvements in our operations, and I think we can do it across the rest of the organization. So whether it's HR, budget, contracting, whatever, in our organization, we really want to deploy Jira across the organization. Because right now, all we did was on the public web team. Now it's time to spread it out and really get it going. And I think Jira is really going to help us get there. So in conclusion, at the end of the day, the changes we've made in our operations are not earth-shattering. Anyone can do them. But the ROI in terms of productivity and responsiveness has been measurable and has had an impact. Our journey is not over, but at least we feel like we have a plan, a map, a compass, and the Atlassian stack has given us a tool set that we need to navigate with. All right. I had another video, but do we have audio yet? Oh, okay. All right, I'll keep talking. Actually, we can start questions. Why don't we take some questions? Anybody? Oh, okay, never mind. Don't give me any questions.
So remember to submit questions to the mobile app, so that's where they're taking questions. So the first question we have, what kind of tickets are submitted to a service desk? Do you utilize different portals?
Yes, okay, so interesting. So this is kind of a complicated question. So we actually have, when we deployed our system, we actually had a couple of different versions running simultaneously. The Air Force was on one version, the Navy was on a different version, the Marines. We're trying to consolidate all those, but in the meantime, we set up different service desks for each one of those because they had unique needs and requirements. So we were able to set up individual service desks for each one of the versions, and then keep it all together in one place, and that's how we set that up. And the kind of tickets that we get everything from bug fixes, problems, UI requests, feature enhancements, everything, you name it.
Awesome. Second question is, do you have external customers using the service desk?
External to my organization, I'm guessing? Yes. So all of the, okay, let me backtrack. From the agent side, no. All the agents are inside my organization, but all of my customers, all those 10,000 content managers around the globe, those don't belong to my organization. They're part of the rest of the Department of Defense. We actually have some folks in the State Department, a few other folks that are using it as well. But they come in externally, they log into the portal, and they put in their tickets, and they do things like that.
This is an interesting question. What solution do you use to send surveys to customers when a ticket has been resolved? Is this native service desk functionality?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's no audio in the video. That's all. Okay, so
So the question is, what solution do you use to send surveys to customers after a ticket has been resolved? Do you have some way of getting feedback? Was it native service desk functionality?
It was not native service desk functionality. We actually use SurveyMonkey. That's a big surprise, right? So we actually, in the email, when we close out a ticket, we had, please send us your response, whether this was something that were you satisfied or not satisfied, really. It's really very simple question, one question. Satisfied, not satisfied, boom. Because if you make it more than that, nobody's going to answer it. Make it 3, 4, 5, 6 questions by the time you forget it. So it was very simple. Were you satisfied with the service that you got from Public Web team? Yes, no, that's it.
And actually, this is something the service desk team is aware of. So we're not making promises, but we are working on it. That's the next question. How do you do two-factor authentication in your service desk?
So we actually put it behind the CAC authenticated wall. So if you go to our URL, you can't get through it, right? You have to have a CAC card in your system in order to even get there. So you don't even see the login prompt. It doesn't show up. You have to have a CAC card in, which is our common access card. It looks our ID with a smart chip in it. You put it into your CAC reader, and then you're able to access the page. Then once you're on the page, then you can work inside of it. That's how we do it.
Thank you for the questions, all really good ones. The next one is, how do you manage the shared content?
Manage from...
That was the entire question.
Okay. So we have a system that we built where we have, for example, all the imagery, all the video that is submitted across the world. It goes into a shared system. That's a system that we developed and built, and then from within the content management system, when they're updating a story, putting things on their website, they can access that shared storage. So, when you go to the insert photo or add photo here, you can access this shared repository. And the way we broke it down is we have multiple tabs, and the tabs are my images. So these are images that you've put in as a content manager, my organization's images, my service images, and then all images inside of DoD. And we have 2 million images in there now, I think. A significant amount of videos, PDFs, all kinds of things that we share. The goal was, if there was a great image that folks wanted to use, for example, it gets posted on defense.gov or on af.mil, other Air Force websites might want to put it on their website. We didn't want them uploading the same image over and over and over again. Make it available to everyone across the organization so they could quickly find it, search to it, click on it, add it to their site, and it was in one place, and less storage on our end, delivery, all that. That's how it works.
The next question is, did DIA CAP come into...
DIACAP. Yes, the DIACAP process. Okay, sorry.
Come into play with your deployment?
Yes.
If so, does it also come in play for new functionality such as HipChat?
Yeah, well, yeah. So DIACAP, by the way, DIACAP is the process that we have to go through to authorize a system before it goes online inside of a government network or a government-owned system, basically. And that's actually changing. It's changing from DIACAP to RMF, and this is in the RMF process. And we're able to track all the controls, and here's how things work, and here's the security measures that are put on everything, and that's what the RMF process is. Everything that we're doing within this system is within RMF, and has to be. As the authorizing official, I have to review that stuff and make sure that it's all proper to be approved.
Okay, we'll take 2 more questions.
And HipChat would also be in that.
How do ticket escalations happen with the same Jira Service Desk instance? How do you manage tickets that escalate across different Jira instances?
Okay, so we have a project for the development. On the development side, we have different projects in the service desk, and we actually move tickets from, we create a ticket inside the developer side of the house. It ties it back to we tie it back to the original help desk ticket and make it a dependent of each other, right? So this, in order for me to close this ticket, the development ticket has to be closed out, basically. So that's how we do it, but it's all tracked within Jira. It's all in one system.
What kind of data was migrated from your legacy service management system?
That's an interesting question. We actually took, we were convinced that we were going to go back and reference all those old tickets that we needed. We absolutely had to have that information. It was very important for us to keep all that information. So we got it all from the previous vendor, and we downloaded it, and it's somewhere. I don't know. I don't think we've referenced it once. We needed to reference it once. I mean, we had enough stuff. We brought over some of the later things, maybe 6 months worth of tickets. Brought them over, whatever wasn't closed out. But anything older than that, we really haven't referenced. But we were able to download it and then import it into the current system.
Okay. This is the last question. How many agents do you have, and how do they interact with the collaborators?
How many? 12? We have 12 agents on the help desk. Now we have, our team is a team of about 52 folks that have access to Jira and do all the things inside of Jira. But from a help desk perspective, tier 1, that's tier 1, is 12 folks. And how do they interact with the collaborators?
Yes, with the collaborators.
Collaborators meaning who?
It's a different role in Jira. So yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think we use that collaborate.
I think the question is more like, how does your software development team interact with your agents and your services? I think that's...
Oh, okay, so... Sure. So, all the tickets get moved, like I said, from the, tickets that need to go to the next tier, right? I mean, if it's, I forgot my password, or how do I upload a photo I can't remember, that's handled in tier 1, obviously. But if it's going to go to tier 3, there's a bug, there's a problem with the system. It goes into the development project, and it gets put into the backlog. And all the interaction that happens within Jira, so any communication going back and forth, they're commenting to each other, and they're talking to each other, asking questions. So the head of dev is the first guy that looks at all these things coming in, and he'll ask the questions of the folks directly and say, hey, what did you mean by this, or are we talking about this part, just verification. And we also communicate back to the originating customer through Jira, through Service Desk as well, with the email integration that we have. We can email them back, they can respond back to the email, it ties it back into the comments of Jira Service Desk, and it's all tracked, and everybody can see it, and it's all there. So I think it's a good solution for us.
Those are all the questions, and you can play your, you can try to play your video.
We have audio?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Okay, so hopefully this will work. I just wanted to show you a video that I think is a powerful example of some of the work that we do at DMA. And it's a great example of how we are delivering the technology, the right technology at the right time, the right place. But technology is great, and we get wrapped around the technology of it as technologists. We think, oh, this technology is so cool, we got to do it. But ultimately, it's about storytelling for us and being able to have impactful products. So I want to show you this, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Beyond to me is going outside the boundaries, going further than the realm of possibility. For me, I need to go beyond this injury. Not just accepting the road that we've been given, but going beyond that road. Taking that road and riding it as far as we can and reaching as many people as we can to show them that everything is going to be okay.
At the beginning, you always hear, just take that step, one more step. And for a long time for me, it was, how do you want me to take another step when I only have one foot? And I had to look deep within myself to realize that I could take that next step, that it was going to take a lot of hard work for me to do it. Being able to push past that resistance, running down those paths, those roads, those trails, we adapt to our environment, to our situations. We move forward because that's who we are.
It definitely isn't reaching that accepted level. And it isn't going past the limits or the goals that other people set for you. I think it's going past the goals that I set for myself. One of the guys one day was saying, if a magical fairy showed up and said, I can take it all back, I can take you back to when you got injured or when you got sick, and I can restart your life right there, make it so that that never happened, what would you do? Would you accept the offer? Hell no, I'd punch that fairy in the face.